What's up, chosen ones? Take a deep breath and listen closely, because this message isn't just another video. This one feels personal, doesn't it? You've been silent for a while, patient even when misunderstood, but lately you can feel it. The atmosphere around you is changing. The same people who once tried to manipulate or mock you are now uneasy. Their plans are backfiring, and deep down, they know it. What's happening isn't random. It's spiritual cause and effect. You're standing under divine protection, and your peace is evidence of that. Have you ever wondered why your spirit stays calm even in chaos? Why you can walk through storms without losing yourself? That's not detachment, that's grace. It's a sign that you've aligned your energy with God's timing. In psychology, this resilience is linked to emotional regulation, the ability to manage feelings and maintain inner balance even when provoked. But on a higher level, it's spiritual maturity. The jealous ones operate from fear and scarcity. You operate from faith and abundance. You no longer react because you've realized your power doesn't lie in proving them wrong. It lies in staying right with God. Think about this. Every chosen one story follows a divine paradox. The more others try to bury you, the deeper your roots grow. There was once a quiet soul in a small town, often dismissed and underestimated. They served, helped, and endured silently. When betrayal came, they didn't fight back. They kept walking in integrity. In time, truth surfaced, and every hidden scheme crumbled under its own weight. This mirrors a universal law. What's built on lies can't last. It's also echoed in biblical wisdom. Isaiah 54:17 declares, "No weapon formed against you shall prosper." It doesn't say the weapons won't form. It says they won't succeed. That's the assurance you live under. Spiritually, jealousy operates like a mirror. It reveals what the envious lack within themselves. When your light exposes their shadows, it triggers discomfort. But instead of dimming yourself to make others comfortable, you kept shining, and that light became your shield. Psychologists call this projection, where people transfer their inner insecurities onto others. But Scripture calls it discernment, seeing through darkness without being consumed by it. Now those who once plotted against you are realizing their foundation was built on deceit. Their energy is collapsing because truth sustains itself, and lies eventually destroy their makers. God is flipping their intentions into your elevation, turning trials into testimonies. You, chosen one, were built different. Pressure made you precise, pain made you pure, and patience made you powerful. Stay grounded, stay prayerful, and keep walking in your light, because what's unfolding now isn't revenge, it's revelation. Your victory isn't loud, it's divine proof that nothing and no one can block what God has ordained for your life. Point 1. You were never meant to fit in. Let's get one thing straight. Your spirit was never designed to blend into mediocrity. You were built to stand out. That divine spark in you was never meant to dim just to make others comfortable. And that's exactly why they targeted you, chosen one. The moment your light started to shine, darkness took notice. It's not because you did something wrong. It's because your very existence challenges the comfort zones of others. Mediocrity hates excellence. Fear resents courage. Insecure souls are disturbed by those who move through life with divine confidence. You see, when people witness someone like you walking through fire and coming out glowing, it doesn't make sense to them. Most people crumble under pressure. They lose themselves when trials hit. But you turn your wounds into wisdom. You alchemize pain into purpose. And that ability, your spiritual resilience, is what separates you from the crowd. Psychologically, humans are drawn to what they can't explain but also fear it. That's why they gossip, plot, and throw shade. It's a defense mechanism. When people can't rise to your level, they try to drag you down to theirs. It's classic projection, what Carl Jung described as the disowned parts of the self. They see in you everything they wish they could be but aren't willing to become. Here's the wild truth. Every insult, every rumor, every silent treatment is a reflection of their spiritual discomfort in your presence. They sense something different in your aura, something that doesn't operate on the same frequency of pettiness and envy. Even neuroscience backs this up. The human brain releases cortisol, the stress hormone, when faced with someone who seems too calm, too self-assured, or too authentic. That's why your peace irritates their demons. You become a mirror to their chaos. But you, chosen one, have learned something they haven't, that peace isn't found in the approval of others. You don't chase validation. You understand that some tables were never meant for you to sit at. You don't beg for seats at places where your presence would shrink your power. You build your own table, your own kingdom, your own rhythm. You walk alone not because you're antisocial, but because solitude sharpens your soul. It's in the quiet moments that your divine intuition grows louder. And this unsettles people. They can't comprehend how someone can move without needing permission. They've been conditioned to depend on applause, to crave acknowledgement, and to base their worth on being accepted. You, on the other hand, found strength in rejection. You realized that being the outcast was actually divine protection. Every door that closed was redirecting you to a higher path. Every person that walked away was clearing space for your ascension. Their jealousy isn't because of what you have, it's because of who you are. You carry energy that cannot be faked or replicated. It's authenticity in its purest form. And authenticity exposes pretenders. That's why people try to misunderstand you. It's easier for them to label you different, too much, or mysterious than to admit that you reflect a part of them they've buried. Remember this: diamonds don't compete with stones. They simply shine, and everything around them adjusts. So keep walking through the fire, chosen one. Keep glowing. Because every time they think they've dimmed your light, you just find another way to illuminate the world. Your power doesn't come from being liked. It comes from being real. And in a world addicted to imitation, that's what makes you unforgettable. Point 2. Their plans backfired spectacularly. They thought isolating you would break you. Instead, it built your character. What they didn't understand, chosen one, is that isolation is not punishment. It's preparation. Every time they pushed you away, whispered your name in rooms you were never invited to, or made you feel like an outcast, they were unknowingly working for your spiritual development. The truth is, solitude has always been the sacred training ground for the chosen. Even science supports this. Studies show that people who spend intentional time alone develop stronger emotional intelligence, creativity, and self-awareness. You didn't crumble in your silence. You evolved. While they were busy socializing in noise, you were mastering the art of inner stillness. That's what they'll never understand. Your power didn't come from being liked. It came from being refined in isolation. They thought gossiping would ruin your reputation. Instead, it revealed their own bitterness. Gossip, after all, is the weapon of the insecure. It's the attempt to control how others see you because they can't control the fact that you've already risen above them. But here's the twist. When people talk about you long enough, truth always surfaces. Over time, even the most gullible start to notice patterns. Who's always speaking negatively? Who's always the target? And who's quietly minding their business? Eventually, gossip turns into exposure, not of the one being talked about, but of the one talking. You didn't need to defend yourself because energy never lies. Your peace, your silence, your consistent authenticity said everything that needed to be said. And that's where God's divine sense of humor comes in. Every trap they set became their own downfall. They tried to plant seeds of deceit, but the soil of your spirit was too pure to nurture lies. They dug a ditch, hoping you'd fall into it. But like Proverbs 26:27 says, whoever digs a pit will fall into it. If someone rolls a stone, it will roll back on them. That's divine justice, silent, subtle, but undeniably poetic. God never needed to make an announcement. He just let time reveal what truth could not be hidden. Now, they're the ones explaining, defending, and panicking because the very people they tried to turn against you are beginning to see the truth. There's a shift happening. People are realizing that your distance was actually dignity, that your silence was actually strength, and that your isolation was actually divine elevation. The same mouths that tried to bury you are now struggling to rewrite their stories, but it's too late. The energy has flipped. The universe keeps receipts and God's timing never misses. You didn't have to clap back because God did it for you, silently, strategically, and perfectly timed. That's how divine vindication works. It doesn't come with chaos or revenge, it comes with peace. It's the moment when you realize you no longer have to fight for what's already been written in your favor. Your name, once dragged through the mud, is now being restored. Your reputation, once tarnished by lies, is being healed by truth. You became living proof that silence speaks louder than slander. And here's the beautiful irony. Your enemies became your biggest promoters. Their gossip gave your name reach, their envy gave your story power, and their attempts to break you only proved how unbreakable you truly are. The isolation that was meant to destroy you became your sanctuary. The betrayal that was meant to humble you became your awakening. The silence that felt painful at first became your loudest testimony. So, chosen one, never regret the times you were left out, lied about, or misunderstood. Those moments weren't rejection, they were redirection. Every setup was a setup for revelation. You didn't lose anything, they did. Because while they were busy trying to destroy your image, you were quietly building your destiny. And now, heaven is making sure everyone sees it. Point 3. You became their mirror. This one cuts deep, angels, because it's one of those truths that no one wants to say out loud, but everyone feels. The reason they can't stand you isn't because you did something wrong. It's because your very existence acts like a mirror. You don't even have to speak. Your presence alone reflects everything they've been trying to bury. When you walk into a room, something shifts. It's not arrogance. It's spiritual energy. Light doesn't need to announce itself. It simply reveals what's hidden. And that's exactly what you do. Your kindness highlights their cruelty. Your peace unsettles their chaos. Your growth quietly reminds them of their stagnation. You didn't expose them intentionally. You just are the exposure. There's a psychological truth behind this spiritual reality. It's called projection. In psychology, projection happens when people deny their own flaws and instead see them in others. When someone feels insecure, they'll often accuse someone else of being too proud. When they feel fake, they'll label someone genuine as performing. This is why your light irritates them. It confronts their own shadow. Carl Jung, one of the greatest psychologists to explore the soul, once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." When you show up as your authentic, peaceful, growing self, you unconsciously awaken their suppressed parts, the ones they've tried to hide from themselves. That's why they grouped up against you. Because a single insecure person can't handle truth alone. They need backup. Misery, as the saying goes, loves company. It's easier for broken souls to join hands in resentment than to face their own reflection in your light. Sociologists even found that people who share envy or dislike towards someone can form quick emotional bonds. It gives them a false sense of belonging, a shared enemy to rally around. It's not friendship, it's trauma bonding. They bonded over their discomfort with your strength, but even the group couldn't dim what God anointed. You can't shade the sun, and you can't silence divine light. What they don't understand is that you were chosen to expose darkness, not by force, but simply by being. Your anointing isn't loud, it's consistent. Your resilience, your grace, your quiet confidence, that's what makes you untouchable. And while they gossip, while they plot, while they whisper in the corners, you continue to rise, not because you're better, but because you've learned that your light doesn't depend on their approval. Spiritually speaking, this is part of your assignment. The chosen ones are not here to blend in, they're here to reveal. You carry frequencies of truth that naturally shake falsehood. Just like a clean mirror reflects dirt that was always there, your soul shows people what's inside them, the good, the bad, and the hidden. That's why they avoid you, mock you, or unite against you. It's easier to fight the mirror than to face the reflection. But here's the twist. Even in their resistance, they're growing, because your light plants a seed they can't unsee. So don't dim yourself to make others comfortable. Remember, diamonds don't apologize for their sparkle. And the sun doesn't hide behind clouds out of guilt. Keep shining, even if it blinds those still adjusting to light. You were never meant to fit in with the crowd. You were meant to wake it up. And the same light that makes them uneasy today might be the very light that saves them tomorrow. That's the paradox of being chosen. Your glow both exposes and heals. Keep walking in that truth, unbothered, unbroken, and unmistakably anointed. Point 4. Divine reversal is already in motion. Chosen one, this is the season of reversal. The divine tables are turning. And everything that was once stolen from you, your peace, your confidence, your opportunities, is making its way back into your life, multiplied and purified. This isn't just a comeback, it's a divine correction. You see, when God allows certain losses, it's never punishment, it's positioning. Every tear, every disappointment, every closed door was a recalibration of your destiny. You were never losing, you were being refined. This is why when the blessings return, they'll fit you better, because you've grown into the version of yourself who can handle them without losing your soul. Many don't realize that spiritual reversals often follow divine silence. When it seemed like heaven was quiet and your prayers were echoing into nothingness, the truth is God was working behind the curtain. There's an ancient principle. What is done in darkness will be brought to light. And right now that light is shining so brightly that no shadow can hide the deceit that once surrounded you. The masks are slipping. Those who once thrived off your confusion, those who manipulated situations to make you doubt your worth, their season of illusion is over. God is exposing every lie, every false alliance, every smiling face that hid a whisper of betrayal. Psychologically, this exposure phase hits people harder than you think. Studies in behavioral science show that when individuals are caught in hypocrisy or deception, the guilt activates the same regions of the brain associated with physical pain. That's right, guilt literally hurts. So even if they pretend to be unbothered, even if they continue smiling in public, their subconscious is haunted. They replay the moments when they wronged you over and over, trying to justify it to themselves, but never finding peace. Their spirit knows the truth. They tampered with divine favor, and that never ends well. What's fascinating, Chosen One, is that this season isn't just about external reversals. It's also about internal realignment. You've evolved. You no longer crave revenge, validation, or closure from those who wronged you. That's how powerful you've become. Your silence is louder than any confrontation because it radiates one clear message. You can't touch me anymore. That kind of calm can't be faked. It's born from walking through fire and realizing you didn't burn, you transformed. And because of that, your blessings will feel different this time. You'll appreciate them more deeply because you've known lack. You'll cherish peace because you've tasted chaos. You'll recognize authenticity because you've been betrayed by pretense. You're no longer naive. You're wise, grounded, and spiritually fortified. The very energy that once drained you is now powerless against you. This is the divine paradox. When the enemy thought they were breaking you, God was actually building your immunity to darkness. Even nature reflects this law of reversal. Forests regrow stronger after fires. Bones heal tougher after fractures, and storms cleanse the sky for a brighter dawn. You are that living miracle, proof that destruction can be divine preparation. What they took from you was never lost. It was merely waiting to return in its upgraded form. So don't be surprised when things begin aligning effortlessly, when opportunities that once slipped away suddenly chase you down. This isn't luck, it's divine order. The same God who watched your pain is now orchestrating your restoration, and those who tried to mock your journey will have no choice but to witness your rise. Chosen One, this is your reversal season, not just of fortune, but of identity. You are stepping into your God-given power, and no lie, no setup, no guilt-ridden whisper can stop what's already written. The battle is over, and victory has your name on it. Point 5. You walked away without a scene. Oh, this part deserves a slow clap, because Chosen One, you didn't just leave the room, you left an entire vibration behind. You didn't need to raise your voice, prove a point, or pull anyone's mask off. You simply stood up, gathered your peace, and exited with quiet dignity. And that, right there, is what's haunting them. They expected the fireworks, the showdown, and the drama, because that's what most people give them. But when you responded with silence, you spoke a language they weren't prepared for: power. See, silence is not emptiness, it's energy. Studies in psychology even suggest that walking away from toxic environments triggers what's called a power shift, where control returns to the one who refuses to engage. The person who speaks least holds the most strength. And your silence, Chosen One, became the final word in a conversation that no longer deserved your voice. You didn't just leave a room. You withdrew your light, your laughter, your vibration, and the peace that followed you wherever you went. They didn't realize how much of the atmosphere was built on your energy until you were gone. Now they sit in that same space, wondering why everything feels heavier. The jokes don't land the same. The mood is off. The laughter feels forced. You were the unseen glue that held that energy together. The vibe they thought they created was actually the reflection of your spirit. When you left, the frequency dropped, and now they're feeling the chill of the shadows they once ignored. That's the divine echo of your absence. It teaches them what your presence was truly worth. There's something spiritually poetic about that. Even ancient wisdom speaks of this. The Bible says, when you enter a house, let your peace rest upon it. If they're unworthy, let your peace return to you. That's exactly what happened. You offered peace, love, and divine energy to that environment. But when it turned unworthy, filled with gossip, jealousy, and ego, your peace returned to you. You took your blessings back home, and now they're left to sit in the silence that once scared them. And make no mistake, that silence isn't empty. It echoes. It makes them remember your calm, your grace, and your ability to smile even when they tried to break you. It reminds them that they never truly had control over you. They only had proximity to your light. And when that light disappeared, so did the illusion of their power. That's why they replay the last moment you walked away. That's why your name still gets brought up in rooms you no longer visit. You've become the ghost of self-awareness that visits them when they realize what they lost. Spiritually, this is called energetic withdrawal. When a chosen one pulls back their divine frequency, those attached to your energy experience what feels like emotional withdrawal symptoms. Suddenly they crave your calm, your presence, and the balance you unconsciously brought. It's almost like pulling sunlight out of a garden. The flowers that once bloomed start to wilt. So, chosen one, don't ever doubt the impact of your quiet exit. You didn't walk away because you were weak. You walked away because the space could no longer hold your growth. You didn't leave to prove a point. Your absence became the lesson. And that's what they can't stop thinking about. Because long after the conversations fade and the gossip dies, your silence remains, echoing in the corners of their conscience, reminding them that peace doesn't chase chaos. It simply leaves the room and takes the light with it. Point 6, your glow-up is divine revenge. God doesn't want you to seek revenge. He wants you to rise. That's not just a comforting quote. It's a divine truth that separates the chosen ones from the world's energy of chaos and pettiness. See, revenge operates on a human frequency. It's reactive, emotional, and short-lived. But rising is sacred. Rising means you've learned to hand over your pain to divine timing, to trust that what was meant to harm you will be used to build you. When you rise instead of retaliate, you become the living embodiment of God's justice. Because while revenge screams, rising whispers, and whispers carry further when they're spoken by destiny. The moment you stop fighting small battles and start aligning with your higher purpose, you step into spiritual authority. Those who once mocked you suddenly find themselves obsessing over your calmness, while they spend nights gossiping, plotting, or replaying your old failures. You're busy upgrading your soul. You're reading, meditating, healing, forgiving, and becoming. That's the real glow up. Not the outer shine, but the inner shift, where your spirit becomes untouchable. Psychologically, this is called post-traumatic growth, the scientific observation that some people don't just recover from pain, they transform because of it. That's you, chosen one. Your pain became your preparation. And here's the irony. While they were spying on your every move, hoping to see you fall, all they saw was you ascending. You went from confusion to clarity, from chaos to peace, from trying to prove your worth to knowing your worth. Every time you chose silence over revenge, you gained spiritual altitude. That's why you can't be reached on the same frequency anymore. You outgrew their version of you. The same people who once called you delusional for dreaming big are now silently competing with the version of you they can't understand. Spiritually speaking, when God is elevating you, He also reveals who was never meant to go with you. Your peace becomes their punishment. Your joy becomes their mirror. Your growth reminds them of the stagnation they chose when they betrayed you. That's why they're restless. The one they thought was finished became the root of divine success. The seed that was buried only sprouted because of the pressure. Even nature testifies to this. A seed must be covered in dirt before it can grow. Darkness was never your enemy. It was your training ground. The truth is, God doesn't waste pain. Every tear, every rejection, every setback was a step toward your purpose. The people who tried to bury you didn't realize they were fulfilling prophecy. And now, as they scroll through your life in silent disbelief, they can feel it. The shift. Your energy changed. Your spirit matured. You're walking differently, speaking differently, and thinking differently. You no longer chase. You attract. You no longer react. You discern. You no longer seek validation. You move with divine confirmation. And what hurts them most is that they can't take credit for your evolution. You did it with grace. You did it in silence. You did it while healing wounds no one apologized for. That's why they whisper now, because the very person they counted out has become living proof that God exalts the humble. So keep rising, chosen one. Keep walking in peace. You are not their karma. Your success is. And the higher you go, the louder heaven claps, because you didn't fall into vengeance. You rose into victory. Point 7, you're protected because you're chosen. At the end of the day, this isn't about luck. It never was. It's about calling. Divine orchestration that moves beyond human logic or coincidence. When you're chosen, your path is never random. Every heartbreak, every betrayal, every night you cried yourself to sleep wasn't just pain. It was preparation. You see, luck is what people cling to when they can't explain purpose. But for the chosen ones, purpose is the explanation. You didn't stumble into survival. You were guided. You didn't just make it through chaos. You were refined by it. The very things that were meant to destroy you were used by God to build you into something indestructible. You've been chosen for a purpose higher than their opinions. The world judged you when they didn't understand you. They whispered about your struggle, mocked your silence, and mistook your patience for weakness. But what they didn't realize is that your life was being orchestrated behind the scenes. While they talked, heaven worked. While they doubted, you were being equipped. Science even shows that trauma survivors often develop higher levels of empathy, intuition, and resilience. Qualities that align perfectly with the spiritual gifts of the chosen. What others call oversensitivity is actually your divine radar, your ability to sense energies, intentions, and truth that most can't perceive. You survive betrayal, loss, and envy because God needed your story to be a testimony. Think about that. Every painful chapter was crafted so you could later become living proof of grace. Even Joseph in the Bible was betrayed by his brothers, thrown into a pit and sold into slavery, yet his suffering became the bridge to saving nations. The pattern repeats through time. Chosen ones are always misunderstood before they are elevated. And here's the poetic justice. The same ones who plotted against you will one day have to watch you win from a distance. They'll see your peace, your glow, and your unstoppable rise and realize none of their schemes worked. Why? Because divine protection isn't something man can override. The anointing on your life creates a shield. No gossip, jealousy, or betrayal can pierce. So when you walk now, walk with certainty, as someone who knows their worth and divine purpose. You're not wandering through life by coincidence. Every step has been orchestrated by a higher power. You are divinely protected, spiritually elevated, and chosen for greatness. Your journey isn't ending. It's unfolding with divine precision, written by heaven's own hand. Chosen ones, understand this. Your silence, endurance, and faith have been your greatest weapons. Those who once opposed you are now learning that touch not God's anointed isn't just a poetic verse. It's a spiritual law backed by divine justice. In psychology, this can be seen as karmic reflection. When people project negativity, it eventually returns to them as inner turmoil. So don't focus on who's panicking or regretting their choices. That chapter is closed. Keep glowing. Keep praying. Keep walking your sacred path, because what's ahead, peace, restoration, and divine favor, will prove that every hardship was part of your victory.